Chelsea season is officially over. I am heartbroken with that. And that is now 10 of 13 matches that we have played at the new Wembley that we have lost. Everything that Chelsea used to be is being eroded. Chelsea were a team that could win anywhere. We would go to Wembley and we would turn up. We would make it our own. We used to think of Wembley as a fortress. The club is being completely undermined by this new ownership, and this is a heartbreaker. Wembley was once a really happy hunting ground, and we are now going into games at Wembley expecting to get beat. Teams are turning up to play Chelsea at Wembley, and they are expecting to win. And this one cuts deep. This one's agony. This one is painful. This one is physically painful because we had all of the chances. Manchester City, despite their brilliance, despite being treble winners, despite the fact that they are probably going to win a double, have got to think of themselves as being incredibly lucky. They've got away with it. City were lucky. I know that the game has just finished. I know that I'm probably being emotional. I know that I'm a Chelsea fan, and I know that I'm looking at it through a biased lens. But I honestly believe that we've been so unlucky here. We were the better team. We deserved to win. We had all the chances. And Manchester City have basically put in a smash and grab. And it's so unacceptable because we should have won. We were the better team and everything fell in our favour. You know, Manchester City have just been dumped out of Europe. The anguish that must go with that, the emotional drain that must go with the Man City players having just been dumped out of Europe, the treble, double is over. They know that they cannot win a European Cup. And not only that, but it would be agonising in an emotional way, but agonising in a physical way as well. They have just been beaten at home after 120 minutes, being run ragged by the likes of Rodrigo, being run ragged by the likes of Vinicius Jr., having Carlo Ancelotti driving them mad. And they have suffered the ignominy of losing in Europe at home. That should put Chelsea in the driving seat. They've had 2 days to train for this game off the back of that game against Real Madrid, and we couldn't find a way through. They were there for the taking. I know they're a wicked team. I know that they are a sensational team, but off the back of losing that game against Real Madrid and only having 2 days, you know, their game should have been tomorrow. There's no two ways about it. Chelsea Man City should have been on the Sunday. That would have been the correct thing to do. That would have been the right thing to do. But it fell in Chelsea's favour. And we couldn't even make it count. You know, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And we had the opportunity. I feel like we were really unlucky, but I also feel like we were the architects of our own downfall. But I also feel like the ref has done us such a mischief. I think we should have had 2 penalties. Definitely one. How has that ref, Michael Oliver, by the way, not gone to have a look at the monitor with regard to that penalty? That Jack Grealish handball, you know, that free kick, don't get me wrong, I feel like it was a tame free kick from Palmer, but it was on target. It's moving towards the goal. The trajectory of the ball is taking it towards the goal. The reason it didn't make it to the goal is because Jack Grealish has turned into Lev Yashin. And he hasn't even gone to the monitor. He hasn't even gone to have a look. It's so ridiculous that the referee hasn't even gone to have a look to see if it's worthy of a penalty. I know that there are things that Man City fans will be saying here. I don't know, maybe Caicedo could have been sent off for that foul that ended Jack Grealish's game or whatever. But that doesn't make the lack of giving a penalty there an acceptable one. And I think there were other situations as well. I really do think that we've been so unlucky. But as always, if you do not take your chances against Manchester City, you will not win the game. And it is as simple as that. If you do not take your chances against Manchester City, it will be impossible to win the game. And the reason for that is because they are a winning machine. They are what we used to be. They are a team capable of beating anyone. They are a team that raise their game for the occasion. And basically, when a big chance comes along, they score it. When they find a way, when they have a glimmer, when there is a chink in their armour, they find a way. And that is exactly what Bernardo Silva did. Compare and contrast the way that Bernardo Silva applied himself when he was presented with the opportunity to stick the ball in the back of the net against Chelsea. When Petrovic is charging at Bernardo Silva, how does he react? He is calm, he is thoughtful. He probably was thinking about that penalty miss against Real Madrid. And he was decisive. It's almost laughable, isn't it? Because I'm now going to talk about Nicholas Jackson. Have a think about how Bernardo Silva approaches football, and then think about that rush of blood to the head that Nicholas Jackson seems to have on a regular basis. Think about the way that Nicholas Jackson applies himself when he is bearing down on goal. At no point when he is charging towards goal does anyone ever think that he is going to score a goal. At no point that even opposition fans really get fearful. When I see Chelsea bearing down on goal, and then I deduce that it's Nicholas Jackson in the driving seat, I almost think that we are less likely to score than likely to score. I think he's a good player, Nicholas Jackson. I know that is almost the reverse opposite of the point that I'm making here. I think he's a really good player. I think he does a lot of very good things. I think he presses brilliantly. I think he runs the channel admirably. But he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough. He is so profligate in front of goal. It is costing us time and time again. And when you create those chances against Manchester City, if Nicholas Jackson is the recipient of those chances, ultimately, you will not win the game. And the difference today, if you boil it down, if you distill this game into one factor, it is Bernardo Silva versus Nicholas Jackson. In front of goal, Bernardo Silva. In front of goal, Nicholas Jackson. The chances that were created by Chelsea paled into insignificance. Bernardo Silva wins the game for his club. And I'll tell you what, there's lots of talk, isn't there, at the moment about the FA Cup, what it means, what it represents. It's destruction by the power that be. And when you see the Manchester City fans and players and managers celebrate, you could see quite how much the FA Cup means. The way that I feel at the moment, I am cut in half because of this. Chelsea's season is now over. We had the chance to salvage something from this pitiful season with Pochettino in charge. We had the opportunity to somehow do something historic, win an FA Cup, beating Manchester City along the way, potentially beating Manchester United in the final. It could have glazed over this hateful season, this hateful ownership and this hateful manager. And yet, it's over. And as a result, we will now go another season without any silverware. Chelsea are now going to go back-to-back seasons without any silverware. The first time that has happened since 2003-04. Chelsea haven't gone back-to-back seasons without any silverware for 2 consecutive seasons since 2003-04. And we've done it in the first 2 years of Clear Lake owning the club. That is where we are. And that is why the club are in disarray. That is why the club are being eroded. And when you think about how threatening we were today, when you think about the chances that we created, when you think about the fact that it's fair to say we were the better team, certainly in the second half, and I think we matched City in the first. There were moments, don't get me wrong, there were moments where Pochettino is obviously instructing us to play out from the back, and even though when we don't have the players on the pitch capable of playing out from the back, and there were errors. But we're so naive, and that's Pochettino. And we are a team that are in total disarray, and that is Pochettino. And we are an ownership that are driving us into the abyss. We have an ownership, and I think this is an open secret in football. Clear Lake, Bowley and Egg Barley have fallen out, and that is problematic. That is so painful. And when you're playing a team like Manchester City, when you think about how good they are, you know, even if it's not going their way, even if Chelsea are in the ascendancy, even if it feels like it's going to be Chelsea's result, City know. They know full well how to get the job done. And basically now, we're a shadow of the club that we once were. We go to Wembley and we know that we're going to get beat. We have so many sad memories of Wembley, even this season. We got done in the Carabao Cup, didn't we, by Liverpool? And in that game, it felt like we just sort of stopped playing in extra time. I feel like Liverpool's fans galvanised, the club galvanised, everything was moving in the right direction. The Liverpool fans started singing that We Conquered All of Europe song. And ultimately, they knew what they had to do. And I tell you what, Chelsea today, we started fairly nervously. We then grew into the game. But we didn't ever really look like we were going to win it. We didn't ever really feel like we were going to take our chances. And I think with Manchester City playing badly, not doing their best, they were always going to pull it out of the bag because they have players like Bernardo Silva. And basically, that finish to confine the memories of what he did midweek with that dink down the middle to the ash heap of history, he did exactly what he needed. And despite the fact that Manchester City didn't have their usual dominance in the game, they are now in the FA Cup final. And you could see that Guardiola's team were tired. You could see that Guardiola himself was tired. You could see that all their old patterns of play, you know, revolving around territorial gains and whatever else. It was not there today. They didn't look like their usual self. And that's what makes it all the more painful, because we had an opportunity to win the game. And it just feels like it's an opportunity for Chelsea missed. You know, you could say that our bigger players didn't turn up. Cole Palmer had his chances, didn't he? Lovely drop of the shoulder against Rodri. And I think Rodri did his actual best to pull him down, and potentially that was a foul. Had he gone down, I think it would have been a foul. But it was so annoying. And then we had other chances. You know, Mudryk overhitting that corner in the way that Bukayo Saka did. Ben Chilwell charging down the wing with Raheem Sterling square. If he squares that to Sterling, Sterling scores, no doubt about it. And I guess it now brings us on to the question about Mauricio Pochettino. You know, next season, we cannot be in this mess. Next season, we need to have found a rhythm, because the club that we once were is going to feel like ancient history. We have to put this right now, while at least a shadow of the DNA that was once Chelsea Football Club still exists. And I still believe that Mauricio Pochettino needs to be replaced. There is no point in persevering with a manager who has demonstrated time and time again that he is not capable of being an elite top-tier manager. We're never going to be a top-tier club like we once were until we make the right appointment. So I think we really do need to have some very awkward conversations about Mauricio Pochettino as soon as possible. But basically, if you don't take your chances against a team containing Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne, you're going to get beat. And that is what happened today. Chelsea have been beaten. Chelsea's season is over. We have a dream of maybe making it into the Europa League. I desperately hope we will. But this result, it really is a heartbreaker, because I think it's so indicative of who Chelsea are now. We are lacking so much. The club that we once were is over. The way that you view Chelsea, I think you need to redefine it. We are no longer the club that can turn up at Wembley and beat anyone. We're a half-decent cup team, a mid-table side. We're basically Chelsea in 1995. Season over. And I tell you what, for the rest of the season, the ending can't come soon enough. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I would like your guidance, especially if you're not a Chelsea fan. Can you let me know, where on earth do you think Chelsea go from here? Do you agree that we are a shadow of the club that we once were? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching.